So they just put out it's a stress injury to his right foot, Livers, and he's out indefinitely.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, if he's not available for the NCAA tournament, that's a crushing blow for Michigan.
A stress fracture.
Stress injury, which is, basically a stress fracture.
Borzello termed it a stress fracture.
It says a stress injury is what it says in here.
Stress injury, which probably is. That's a big blow. That sucks.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. Yep. I mean, this is what you're getting now. Kansas without a player. Now you got Michigan. And again, I told you this earlier this year. I was surprised we haven't had more injuries this year with guys playing condensed schedules, being off an extended period of time, then coming back and playing so many games in a short period of time. I'm actually really surprised we haven't had more. And now we're starting to see, again, like, some fluke ones. Obviously, Kyle Young's being a fluke one. We had the injury with what's his name down at in Florida,
John Fulkerson.
Fulkerson, who's probably not going to play today, but seemed to be okay.
I wouldn't call that a fluke injury.
No, I don't mean fluke. I mean fluke in a sense of like guys not getting hurt because of being off for a long period of time and playing a ton of games.
Let's talk about what Isaiah Livers' absence is going to mean to Michigan long term. Like how much? Let's just say, for argument's sake, that this knocks him out for the tournament, right? Like that. Like I don't think that we know enough yet at this point. If it's only a stress injury and like a stress reaction or whatever they phrase it as, and it's not an actual fracture, then maybe if he sits out for a week, he'll be able to be back for the first weekend. Maybe if he does, he'll be able to be back for the second weekend. Like that's 10 days away. So we don't really know. What does he do to their ceiling not having him available?
I mean, huge. He's their best shooter. Good defender, gives them size on the perimeter. They've got other guys. I mean, now Chandi Brown probably moves into the starting lineup. And instead of Chandi Brown coming off the bench where his role was so important, and they had like a really good top 8 guys, now you lose some of that. And now you don't have that weapon, which to me, I thought Livers was arguably their best player this year. I know people might think I'm crazy. Hunter Dickinson was terrific, but I think Livers was unbelievable this year. And again, was such a threat from long distance and gave them – they just fit together so well. That's what was Michigan's strength. They fit together so well, and now you take away one of those pieces, and you're not going to be able to plug in a piece that fits like Livers did.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is that Michigan doesn't really have a quote-unquote best player, if that makes sense. Right. Like Mike Smith was unbelievable yesterday. 18 points, 15 assists, 0 turnovers. We've seen Hunter Dickinson have games where he looks like the second coming of Shaq, right? We've seen Isaiah Livers over the years go for 25 on any given night. We know how good he is. We know how good Franz Wagner can be. We've seen Chandi Brown be the guy that steps up and makes like 4 or 5 corner threes and be one of their best perimeter defenders. We've seen Eli Brooks step up and make big threes and big plays. Last night against Maryland, he had like 3 or 4 buckets down the stretch that were really, really important to kind of hold off a comeback from Maryland. And it's the value of all of these guys really understanding and excelling in their role that makes Michigan so good. And now you're fucking that up. I think that they can survive it, assuming that like he can come back for the second weekend. I think that they can survive it because they're still going to be good enough with Franz at the 4, Chandi at the 3, with Eli and Mike Smith in the backcourt.
Can they go to a Final Four? That's my question. If he's out as you go deeper,
without Livers, I don't think that they can. But if you can get Livers back at some point during the tournament, I think that's something where. Like I think they can get to the second weekend without him. I think they might even be able to get to the Elite 8 without him. But when it comes to beating some of the best teams in the country, I mean, he's big. Look, what he does is he's big enough to play the 4 against any power forward in the country. He also happens to shoot 43% from 3 on almost 5 attempts per game. He's also able to play off the bounce. He can guard 2 through 5 if you need him to. Right? Like he's the whole value in what they do defensively is that you have those 3 guys, Franz, Chandi, and Isaiah, that can switch. He's losing him is always big blow.
Hey, these are always interesting too, because they're saying it's a stress, reaction or fracture, whatever you want to say. I mean, stress injury to his foot. Now, again, you always want to protect your seed here, right? That's ultimately what Michigan's going to do. Even if he broke it, you're going to try to protect your seed, aren't you? Because if you say that he's out for the tournament, you're likely to drop down to the 2 line potentially, especially if you lose today. They could easily put you down to 2 line.
That's very dumb. I hate that happens. That's very dumb.
That they drop?
Yeah. We had this conversation with Ken Palm the other day. Like it's what you accomplish is what you accomplish. It's the same thing. Right. Like UConn.
So Villanova, don't drop Villanova. They earned it. Just because they don't have Colin Gillespie doesn't mean you should drop them down another spot or seed line, right?
I mean, if it comes down to being a tiebreaker between 2 different teams, that's one thing. But just blanket saying, okay, they don't have Isaiah Livers, we're going to drop them down to a 3 seed. That's just dumb. Don't do that.